Film Slice crew review.
Oh,
Fuck.
the Hood.
Robin Hood. Hey team, Vegas Jacket here, and welcome to the Film Slice Podcast. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, King Diddly Willy Cane Dogs.
Hello there.
And Bro Diddly Doo, Broadman Richards. How are we?
We are pretty good, and also
Excellent.
hosted by your loveliest, most beautifulest, and also the worst, Angus Strachan.
Why did you answer
That
for me? What
is
if I'm
this
feeling?
guy.
You were like, we're both pretty good. You haven't asked me how I'm feeling. You don't know.
I can just tell.
You don't
I think
know.
you're fine. You look fine.
I'm-
This week we're reviewing Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
Batman.
Game
Like,
of-
Robin
AKA,
Hood.
also known as Australian Actors R Us.
Aussie. There's two of us. Look out, Hollywood. We're coming to get ya. Cane Dogs, you want to hit us up with a IMDb summary?
Yeah, I've that thing that I meant to do. No. This is the wrong Robin Hood, but I'll read this one.
No.
Rich Little plays all the major characters in the retelling of the Robin Hood story. As in his version of A Christmas Carol, Little plays each character through a classic Hollywood. Groucho
A
Marx
war-hardened crusader and his Moorish commander mount an audacious revolt against the corrupt English crown in a thrilling action-adventure packed with gritty battlefield exploits, mind-blowing fight choreography, and a timeless romance.
Timeless romance is a bit of a stretch. But
Oh, no, Brody. No.
The
The movie felt timeless in that it never fucking ended while I was watching it, Brody.
All right, I guess that's a good segue into when you see the movie, what do you think?
When you see the movie, what did you think? Do you like the movie? None of the shit.
Okay, so I saw the movie last night at like 9:15, because I had an exam
8:45.
yesterday and couldn't work around that. Nerd! Yep, yeah. Oh, well, not a nerd, because I did very badly in it. But,
Stupid nerd! What did you say? Dumb.
Yes,
I just said
AT.
dumb.
Yeah, so I saw it.
You're a smart boy.
We expected there not to be a line, so we were happy to get there, like, right when you need to buy tickets to go in.
When you say exam, we did have to vote this weekend. Do you mean vote?
No, I also... yeah, I find it really... I'm not good at multiple choice.
Oh, is it the right answer? Is it 571? Or is it...
It's always... I just picked C.
You always pick C.
It was real bad. It was shocking. It actually made me physically sick how angry I was watching it. And what made me more angry is that I knew my girlfriend was loving it. And I was just so angry because I'm like, this is dumb and this is shit and this is crap. And I'm like, my girlfriend likes this and she's probably going to enjoy this bit. I couldn't help but just see this being like let's do Batman and give him a bow, which has already been done in a series called Arrow, which is already better than this movie and the exact same.
This
So
was
just
very
watch
much medieval
Arrow.
Batman.
Cool. That's when you saw it.
That's what I saw, and what I thought. I hated it, Angus. I saw it last night. I hated it, Angus. I hated it, Angus.
Broadman, when you see the movie, what do you think?
I saw this film on Friday night, and the rest of that is part of my cinema dig.
Very good.
Great. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought it was a bit of a fun romp.
Oh, I'm angry, Brody. I'm gonna fight you. Not on the podcast. We'll have a polite conversation, and then I'll fight you.
I thought it was a bit of fun romp. It very much reminded me of the Batman Begins film in a lot of ways. And I thought it was very much in line with today's superhero craze, and it felt very much kind of designed towards that audience, which I think was a good decision. There are obviously a lot of stuff that I'm not a big fan about, but this was kind of a bit more of a higher tier of action films than a lot of the other standard action films. I think it might just be because it was like a medieval action film.
Yeah,
I'm still
just
kind
like
of-
a different
I
setting.
think
I'm
the
still, like,
action in this was
unsettled on
okay. I didn't mind the action. There was a lot of what felt like 300 slow mo.
Yeah,
But I
it's,
didn't-
It's
it was-
becoming a trope.
I didn't
I'm
mind
worried.
a lot of the action. It's just so much of the rest of it was really dumb.
I
Angus.
only just noticed. Have you got hit your head on something?
No, so you should see the other guy.
Anyway,
I have a
watched
small
the-
bruise on my forehead. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Move along, Angus.
looks
Move
like it.
along.
I saw the movie on Friday, and I'm a bit confused about what I think about it. I think it's like I'm not sure the movie knew what it was trying to be. It kind of opens up and kind of sets the scene to be this kind of thing.
There's a voiceover at the beginning and I hate it.
Flips around and then it's like a war film and then it comes back to a romance and then it comes back to like
Was it adapted from a graphic novel?
I don't know. I feel like it would.
Apparently there's already a Robin Hood that's been a story that exists. Apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, Mel
Apparently,
Brooks.
apparently there was another story.
I think this is a remake
Men in
of Mel
Tights.
Brooks.
I think it's
Men in
like
Tights. Yeah,
I think it's like the Men in Tights, like a gritty remake of Men in Tights.
yeah. I'm not.
No, because it had kind of graphic novel intro and ending. And so I thought that maybe that was
it's very stylized to look like a graphic
hint
novel.
towards a graphic novel.
Do you want me to find out?
Yeah, I'm not too bothered.
All right, well,
Cool. Anyway,
we'll never know.
I'm not sure what I think about the film, and I guess I will find out when we discourse about it more. Lads, you know, every week I put up on Instagram and Twitter what movie we're reviewing and ask our slicey slicers, our lovely listeners out there, what they thought of the film.
No, I guess
I do know this, remember it, and...
Well, bro, can you please tell Jordan, because I tell him every week and he still hasn't fucking
basically,
remembered.
what we do, Jordan... You're pretty new to the podcast, but we should probably catch you up on things.
Sorry, I was
so
a bit
basically
brutal at the start.
Every week, Angus does all the work.
Okay, cool.
This is it. So I put it up on Instagram and we got nothing. And I put it up on Twitter. Guess how many we got?
One.
Roadman.
Oh,
Every week.
I guess
Two. It's two. We got two. This is...
Jordan threw me off.
Brody, you're fired.
He threw me off. He said one so confidently that I was just like, obviously he knows. No, it was just a wild guess, just throwing it out to the
Wild guess.
ether.
This is from one Veronica Strachan replying to at film_slash_pod. She says, it would be hard to beat Errol Flynn's 1938 version or possibly Carrie L's portrayal of Robin Hood of Locksley in the Strachan family favourite, Robin Hood Men of Ties. That's right, it is the Strachan Hood. Strachan Hood?
Telling you about
Strachan Hood.
Why do you know about Veronica's family, like, film of choice? Odd for you to know that.
Yes, they don't know this, but I did live in their roof for quite a while. And our second comment is from Lovin Ramos.
That's a fake name.
Replying to at film_slash_pod. He says, absolutely loved it and found the contemporary adaptation and nuances a breath of fresh air from the past Robin Hood films. It reminds me of Baz Luhrmann, as a matter of fact. Interesting.
Who's Baz Luhrmann?
He does Mad Max. Wait. No, he doesn't. He does Dirty Dancing. He's an Australian.
That's a very different...
I don't know. I've heard the name a million times. I cannot
He
picture it
did
for the life
Moulin
of me.
Rouge. He did The Great Gatsby is what he did.
Oh, yes, that film I saw that one time on a plane.
How do I spell it?
Baz, B-A-Z.
Got that bit.
Luhrmann,
Luhrmann is the bit that...
Luhrmann.
Great Gatsby, Moulin Rouge, Australia, and Romeo and Juliet.
Australia, that's the other one. Oh, yeah, yeah. See, I knew that. Definitely not Mad Max, you idiot. Anyway, that's what our Slicey Slices thought of this week. K-Dogs, no one on Facebook said anything.
No, I got
Cool.
a lot of likes for the Photoshop, but that's it.
Let's move on to our next segment. Would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to? Broadman.
Here's the thing. I think I would. I think I would recommend this one to anyone that wants to go see an action film because it is a bit higher par than a lot of the other action films we've seen this year. And I think that on that alone, it gets a recommend for me.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, even if you don't like this film, you can still say the action was pretty good. The action was better than a lot of other films.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't below, like, under par. It was definitely, either par or perhaps a birdie. It's not,
Not an eagle.
we're not getting into eagle, albatross, or condor range. Yeah, so it was good. And also, I do have a bit of a soft spot for medieval films.
For sure.
If you liked Batman Begins and you wish it took place in medieval times, watch this. It even used pretty much the exact same music.
Yeah, I was
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did. I was really angry at it.
Yeah.
I was really annoyed at it.
K-Dogs, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to?
I'd recommend this film to anyone who wants to fight me. No. Look, I'm so angry at anyone who liked this film. No, look, I think I tend to agree with Brody. I think it is probably one of the better action films in terms of the choreography and the cinematography for action alone. There's not a lot else that I enjoyed about this film, but
it also probably hits you a lot in your not your blind spot, in your...
It hits me in my blind spot, Brody. Right in the blind spot. It hits you a lot
in your Achilles heel because it is very, very close to Batman Begins.
It's not just... It's not even that.
Those three films are probably in like your top films.
I didn't even really notice Batman-esque style stuff in this.
It was very much. It used almost the exact same music, and in very much... Really? In like moments where they're going through action and hitting on the love story was very similar to how Batman Begins.
Even the scenes where he's like, I'm going to have to pretend to be a dumb rich guy and go hang out. And then she sees him after he's been gone for a long time. She's like,
right.
Hey, you're back. And he's like, I'm just a dumb rich kid. I don't want to talk to you. And then she walks away and he's all like, I found out she knew that I was actually a superhero.
Batman.
And then like,
it definitely
later he's at a table full of people and they're like, what do you think of the of the hood? And he's like, I think
even
the
when
hood
you
is
get down
just
to
a
like
hooded idiot.
Like color tone of like the entire film is like very much toned.
So really,
in the same
they
way.
should have named this film Robin Hood Begins.
Bat Hood.
Bat Hood.
I would recommend this to anyone who likes a decent action film and medieval stuff.
God, I think it really does. Fucking goes on. Jeez, mate, talk too much.
Cool. I think we're going to head on into spoilers because we have a lot to say about this film.
Oh, I thought we were already in spoilers, to be fair.
Nope.
Whoops. Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
All right, we are in the spoiler section where we dissect and divulge everything about the film. You've been warned. May God have mercy on your soul. Cane Dogs. Cinema Dicks?
No.
Cool.
I actually had none this time.
Cinema Dicks.
Cinema Dicks! Okay.
Oh,
Cinema Dicks. Here we go.
This will be Brody's review in itself. Brody, would you recommend a cinema dick, and who would you recommend it to?
Hey-o.
So, pun not intended. It's a bit of a hard bargain. No,
Hey-o.
Now I'm just trying too hard. Okay, cinema dick. Trying too hard. That was the real joke.
Hey.
Okay, so cinema dick. The cinema dick for me for this week was the cinema itself.
Oh.
This has happened before.
We went to bloody Wool World. We went down to bloody Wool World and they didn't have the film on. And
You'd assume that that they would have Robin Hood.
Here's the thing. The website glitched out on me. So I searched up for like my cinema for bloody Wool World and it didn't have it there. And I was like...
Wait, the cinema? It didn't have the cinema there?
No, it had the cinema. It didn't have the film.
The whole cinema
it had all the other films. It had like Bohemian Rhapsody and
Yeah.
and it didn't have that film there. And I was like, well, hell, it's coming out tomorrow. Of course they're going to have the film. And then I did a search specifically for the film on the website. And then it came up with session times for my cinema. So I looked at it and it said all these session times. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then we got there and they said, no, we don't have the film. And so I was both half surprised and half... Okay, that's why it wasn't
really
there.
Weird. Why wouldn't they have the film?
I know, right? They just said
What kind of business are they running?
And we were like, 2 tickets to Robin Hood, please. And she was like, Robin Hood, and we're like, yeah. And she was like, we're not getting that one. And I was like,
not getting that one.
What do you mean?
What?
Like all the other cinemas under your chain franchise have it.
I think they're showing it at Melton, but we not getting that one, so we don't have that one. And we're like, oh, so we kind of we're just like standing there like, so it was just kind of a shitty experience. The entire thing, it was just like, and especially because the website glitched out on me.
It's also just weird that.
So a cat,
there's a cat in here.
Appeared out of nowhere.
Which is weird because none of us own a cat.
Ninja
lives up to her name.
How long has she been in the room for?
I have no idea. I'm so sorry if you've heard anything that offended you, or normally we cut it out, but when you listen to us live, like, you get all the...
When you listen to us live. Are you talking to the cat now?
Guys, that's our first live podcast.
First live listener.
Well,
and she walked out.
It was just a shit.
It's really weird that they don't have the movie at all. Like, they're just not getting... Like, it's not the biggest film, but it's still... a decent, like, it's still a big, like,
cinema
it's big
dick.
enough that the cinema should have it.
Dick.
Nice one there, Angus.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our positives. K-Dogs, would you like to start? Seeing as you probably have the least amount of positives.
Look,
Get him out of the way.
Ben Mendelsohn is awesome in everything I've seen him in. I love Ben Mendelsohn.
He always plays a character with power, but also has someone who has power over him.
Yeah.
Do you feel in
like,
charge? That exact line is almost said by the priest. He's like, I am the Sheriff of Loxley. Do you feel like the Sheriff of Loxley? It's exactly that.
That's Jordan's impression of the bishop in this film.
I just think he's great in everything he does. He can be intimidating. There's some little gems of dialogue, and for some reason they've only been given to Ben Mendelsohn, but some of the threats are really cool. My favorite one, and this is a line that just stood out to me as well, where he's talking to Friar Tuck, or Bill Bailey / Tim Minchin. I couldn't quite. One of them.
It was Tim Minchin.
And he's threatening him, and he's like, I have faith in my God. He's like, well, just remember, bloody, God's up there, and I'm down here. And I'm like, that's a good point. That's a decent threat to say to Friar Tuck. He had some cool lines.
He was pretty cool in it. There were some, like, missteps, I reckon, in his character. They made him a bit too kind of,
villainy. Like, twisting his mustache whilst looking at things.
Yeah, or just kind of, like, anxious in a way that he shouldn't be. Like, I think it would have been better if he was a bit more methodical and a bit more patient. But there was like moments where someone like deliberately was trying to piss him off, and it pissed him off, and then he started yelling out like threats at the person, and so it was like it would have been better if he just stood there, took it, and he was just like, okay.
I think this was Ben
Mendelsohn.
Mendelsohn.
And then just like that,
you can kind of see in his eyes.
Yeah, it would have been more intimidating if he was, and yeah.
I think Ben Mendelsohn's character is probably the most three-dimensional, though. I think
especially with that dialogue earlier about being like beaten by priests when he was a kid.
Yeah,
I think
like that. I actually thought when that conversation was happening, I was like, "Ooh, is this going to be a good film?"
He's the most fleshed out character in this movie, which is really odd. Like, it's cool that they're putting more effort into villains. It's just really odd to put that effort into a villain and not to the hero. I think that, and as we were talking about earlier, there's a scene towards the beginning where Robin gets sent to fight in the Crusades, and they've all got bows instead of swords and stuff like that. And it sort of looks a bit kind of like Iraq, and they're all it looks very much like a modern day war film, and the way that they sort of use war tactics it was written to reminisce how you do it now.
Where did the Crusades happen? The Crusades happened in like
the Middle East,
sometime
right?
like a couple of years ago at least,
and like down through like Turkey and
Jerusalem.
stuff.
Yeah, but like just like they had flanking in there, and like they had like a massive crossbow that sort of acted as like a machine. I didn't mind that sort of stuff. I think it was done well. If I got a film that was tonally sound like that, if the film just remained like that, even when he went back, if they kept it as sort of like a bit of a twist on back then being a bit more modern in terms of war tactics and stuff, would have been more interesting. But the first half and the second half of this film are completely different movies. The first half was a really cool take on and the second one was like Assassin's Creed 2.
Birdman,
Positives. This is positives. This is a tough one. There were a lot of things in this film that I liked, and there were a lot of things that I didn't like. I think some of the stuff that I did like was just the basic action, them actually putting a bit more effort in than just they fight type stuff. I do not have anything. For a specific like favorite.
The archery in this was good only for Robin Hood. All of the other people in this movie that had a bow were holding the arrow or the bow wrong.
There was something that was a bit more subtle that I did really like. I liked that all of the enemies had crossbows and all of the good guys had bows.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
That was like a subtle thing that they put in there. I did really like that. I think it made it very, very obvious who was good and who was bad, even in like quick cut moments. And so I did really like that choice. And I thought that most of this film looked good.
I really liked the set design. I thought the set design was really awesome.
Looks good. It's
pretty cool.
And especially in the
I like
difference
the look of the
between
mines
going to... the difference at the start between England and going to like Jerusalem and doing the Crusades and everything. And I thought that was really well done. I like that. That was my positive.
It's also fascinating to think of what a film just set in the Crusades would have been like, or a film
I really
just
wanted that,
set
yeah.
in England would have been like. Because like I've got to say, the Crusades did interest me the most, and there was like a lot of moments in there which reminded me a little bit of scenes from like Gladiator and stuff, of just like war. And there was like moments where there's like a bunch of people who are on the same side disagreeing with each other for a war that most of them don't even want to fight. And I really like that look on war, because that is a very kind of good look.
Yeah, like people's
on
morals come into it.
Or it's like there's a bunch of soldiers there. None of them can leave because they'll be deemed a traitor and a deserter. But none of them really believe in the war that they're fighting.
Yeah.
It's a really cool look at war, and it's a very sort of common look that a lot of people have. But especially back then in the kind of tyranny hierarchy era. And so I think
I didn't vote for you. Yeah.
So I think if they could have done a Robin Hood film fully in there.
In the Crusade.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see how that film would have been.
I really like I wanted to see more of that, and I did really like at the end when there's like the juxtaposition between like it flashes back quickly to the war in Jerusalem, and then it flashes forward to in London, where there's like, you know, all the peasants are like rising up against, and he's like making the connection between like, oh, this is like the same kind of warfare kind of thing just on our home turf. I really like that, and I wanted to see more of that. Negatives of the film.
I'll go last because I have about 100 of them. And I'm
Okay.
just going to spit them out.
You want to
quickly.
start us off?
I can start us off. I was really disappointed that Marion was probably one of the only female characters in it. I think.
Yep.
I think the only female character in it.
Yeah.
The only.
The only. And I think she could have been fleshed out a bit more. I think they started doing it where her and Friar Tuck had like their own plan and everything, and it would have been good to actually follow her a bit more, just to round her out and be like, oh yeah, this is, you know, she actually does believe in this, and you know, this and that, and they tried to do it, but I don't think they quite got there. And for her to be the only female lead, I feel like that was a bit of a hit and miss.
She very much felt like an added-on character.
Yeah.
Even though she was probably a character
Crucial,
that would have been there from the beginning of making this film.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I also think they'd made a misstep between how
The beginning and end of the film.
her and her relationship with that guy Will ended.
Yeah.
Because very much Will's character, I liked Will's character until the moment where he just decided to go evil.
Yeah.
Will Dent.
For evil.
Yeah, Two-Face.
Two-Face?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm a politician and I'm for the people. Oh no, there's another vigilante now.
Because-
now my face is burned. I'm a bad guy now.
He had very much a perspective which was correct. It was
Yeah.
different. It was different to Robin Hood, but it was very much correct. It was like, but then they started putting the thing where it's like, you only want to do that because you want power.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, okay, that's
Not at all what I gathered from that
Yeah,
character.
that's a weird thing to just put in. And then he eventually like turned bad or whatever.
Becomes the new sheriff of
But
Nottingham.
I think it would have been much better if Marion, because she was like dating him, and also with Robin, if they both kind of like grudgingly agreed, you should stay with Will. It's like, it's like even though yes we have this old romance, you still spent 2 years of your life with Will.
That's
Like a
like how when
Casablanca moment, like
Rachel dates Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
And Bruce Wayne is like, you should probably stay with the guy that's not breaking the law all the time.
yeah.
All right, before we move
like
on,
very
I've
much
just got one more negative, and that is, where are the swords?
Yeah.
Surely people wore swords back then.
Yeah, absolutely. they
But
did.
people are shooting people from, you know,
Yeah, like 5 feet away.
5 feet away with arrows. Like, that's just a waste of an arrow, man. Like,
Because
just pull your sword out.
It's also a little bit sad, because of that Errol Flynn Robin Hood film, which I do very much have a soft spot for because I grew up watching that film all the time and loved it. And they have an amazing sword fight at the end. And it's amazing sword fight because they were actors trained in like fencing. So they actually fight, and they go up like entire like flights of stairs in a single shot fighting and stuff like that.
Like when I think of Robin Hood, I kind of think of like swashbuckling, like kind of that kind of sword fighting and everything. And I was a bit disappointed That was like the only thing that I was disappointed with at the start when they're in Jerusalem and they're walking around like tight corners and they've got their bow drawn. Like, if people are right next to you with swords, like,
Negatives for this film. There are a number. One, the obvious copying of the music from the Batman films. I did enjoy most of the comedy. There were a lot of stuff I didn't laugh at, but there was a lot of stuff that everyone in the cinema I was in did laugh at.
Was there any of the famous Brody moments where only you laughed?
I don't think so. I don't think this had a special Bro Dogs moment in this one. So I did very much welcome Tim Minchin. I liked him. It was weird to see him as just like an acting role. I haven't seen him do much stuff like that. And I didn't recognize him for a while. It took me a while. Like I was like, that's that comedian. He plays songs.
Yeah.
Who's that comedian? And I just spent a long time trying to figure out who that was. But I think he was a kind of a bit of a shining light in there.
I think a lot of people might have a problem with his
charismatic.
accent because his accent isn't the classic Hollywood English accent.
No.
Like, because I know a bit of background of him, and he actually lived in the UK for quite a while. So he's probably doing a more realistic take of like a certain accent
Of a specific
but
accent,
because it's not Hollywood, I feel like some people would have a problem with it. But
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it. I was like, oh yeah, this is like actually what I would have said.
I very much liked him in there. There was a few things that were like good that he did, which they didn't concentrate on too much. Like when he's being dragged out of the room after being like shedded of his priesthood, he smiles.
Yeah.
But it's very... It happens for about a millisecond. I reckon if you're not paying attention, you'll miss that moment.
Yeah.
And I really like that moment of him smiling. I thought, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, again.
But it was like, I reckon there was been so many people in that cinema that wouldn't have noticed him smiling.
Yeah, it should have... Their whole story arc should have grown a bit more, I think. Yeah.
So the biggest negatives for me are definitely the voiceover, which is completely unnecessary. Is like, it just tells you stuff you already know. It doesn't set up stuff that you don't know. There's no reason for it to be in this film.
Cane Dogs. Anything that we haven't said? Negatives. Go.
A few things. Okay, first of all, Jamie Foxx sees his son brutally murdered by a whole group of like bloodthirsty mercenaries, and then just stays in the boat for 3 months and doesn't. He's got such self-restraint.
He also has such a big stomach, he doesn't have to eat or drink for 3
I
months.
thought about that.
I was wondering about.
I thought about
I was
that.
wondering about that. My whole thing though is just like he didn't once consider just like, hey, what if I just murdered all of the people that just killed my son? Now I get that he's smart and tactical.
It's hard to steer a boat with one person, Jordan.
I thought you were going to say one hand.
Okay, this is my next thing. The one hand thing. In your left hand, you hold a bow. Your right hand does everything else. So just make a fucking hand that has a small archway to put a bow in it.
But the bow would always be threaded on because the string goes around it, right? So you just like be dragging a bow along.
No, we'll just literally just have a hand that does that. Just make a thing that does that, and you can put a bow in it, and then
Like a Lego hand.
Exactly. If you just make literally that. Like it wouldn't be that hard to just make a contraption that can hold
There should be just
the
a
bow.
throwaway line, just like, John, what's your last name? Lego.
But
John Lego.
But do you see what I mean?
He's
Like,
like, John, what's your last name? Lennon.
another thing.
Oh, actually,
for
yeah.
it.
Was he left-handed?
No, he was right-handed, so he absolutely could have held the bow with his left hand as normal if he just made a hand that held a bow. Instead, he makes this fucking bit of metal.
Yeah, but is it...
Or he could have used one of the automatic crossbows.
Anything, literally anything. He's just
He
like,
should have cut both hands off. Just cut his other hand off. 2 automatic crossbows. Bang, bang, bang.
just 2 metal lines.
It would
He'd be
work
like a Mortal
until you had
Kombat
to
character.
reload.
Yeah.
And another thing.
Go for it.
The people that he's fucking at war with at the beginning, he's apparently...
I did not see that scene.
Oh, it's a different
That must
movie.
have been in the extended cut.
He fights with them for 4 years, and then is surprised
That's
at,
a long-term relationship.
and then is surprised at the end when they're all like evil mercenaries.
Happened in Sparta.
What? So he spends 4 years with them, and then after that 4-year bit, they're just like murdering like prisoners of war.
Yeah,
And he's
I
like,
think
hey,
you
you're
probably-
a dick. You'd know by now if he was a dick. You'd know. You're not gonna. You don't spend 4 years fighting alongside someone
You're a
like that. And then at the end, you're like,
Crusader dick.
you're a dick. Like,
I like how the film's glossed over 4 years of Robin Hood killing innocent people.
Yeah.
Yeah. This didn't happen. Anyway, that's not part of the story. This is not the story that you know.
That's not a part of the...
Forget about everything you know about the Crusades and Robin Hood.
And another thing. There's not a lot of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor in this movie. There's just a lot of stealing and giving to Maid
just
Marian.
throws it on
And
the
then you
ground.
don't know what she does with the money, but presumably she just buys several leather coats and a red scarf.
He doesn't give to the
Yeah,
poor.
well, red dyes were really expensive back then, right?
This is true.
But
Yeah, he doesn't give to
Also,
the poor. He
does-
just kind of throws it on the ground
also,
and lets them scatter for
the
it.
montage makes it look like he goes from being a normal, okay archer to being Robin Hood in about 4 days. Like, it's just...
That's all you need, though.
That's all you need to perfect archery.
To perfect anything, really.
To the point where you
we
can...
are all on agreement in this.
To the point where you can just take out 40 armored guards that are specifically wearing heavy plated armor. But that's fine. Just a smaller bow, about 4 days of weight training, kind of. Well, he's just lifting a heavy bucket of water and presumably a chain. And now you're ready. You're right. You're off to go. I mean, the guy with
Too easy.
the guy with one hand taught him how to do
I don't know
all
why
that
more
archery.
people don't do that.
I don't know why more people don't spend 4 days until they look
That must
like...
have been really lazy back then.
Look like... And the other thing that sort of really annoyed me...
And another thing.
And another thing! The other thing that really annoyed me is when I think of Robin Hood and my favourite parts about that sort of story, I think of how...
The archery contest.
Yeah, well, just little things like that. I'd much prefer to see a Robin Hood where he's...
Living in the forest, swinging on vines.
No, that's Tarzan. I just want to see that
Drinking with his merry men.
that arrogance and that poking fun at, like, you know...
Little John's not little.
I just wanted to see some of those memorable things from, like, you know, I want to see that archery contest where there's like a bounty put out. I want to see that
Very
arrogance.
much all from the Errol Flynn.
The sword fighting.
But the concept
It's
of
weird because I watched Robin Hood a couple of months ago.
which
Robin Hood?
Yeah, Robin Hood.
Not Robin Hood.
No,
'cause
not Errol Flynn.
I didn't think Robin Hood was
the
out
one
yet.
with the cartoon fox.
No, of course not.
Robin Hood,
Obviously-
Jordan.
Obviously, I'm talking about the Russell Crowe, Kate Blanchett Robin Hood film.
I never saw that one. I heard it was bad.
You know,
and didn't-
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Ah,
Robin Hood.
okay.
So I watched Robin Hood
Robin Hood.
a couple of months ago because it was just on.
Any good?
It was on a streaming service that we shall not be named, and it's quite bad. And that film is very much in the vein of having nothing to do with any of the Robin Hood things that you like, right? So that film's really odd.
And it's bad because of that.
Well, it's just
Right.
bad in general. but it's
What's with Australians in Robin Hood movies?
I know, right?
I love the fact
Yeah.
that there's just a Robin Hood
Russell
movie.
Crowe and Kate Blanchett as the two.
I love
main
that there's
characters.
Yeah, wowza.
going to be a Robin Hood movie every 10 years just because it falls in the public domain.
Maybe
and then someone
when
makes
some
it.
new big Australian actors come about.
I feel like
probably making a Robin Hood film.
I feel like Hollywood think that Australia is so far behind on like watching movies and everything that Robin Hood is like a new story to us. Next
reckon?
thing, next,
I reckon
yeah.
they just put us in the same cake as the entirety of the United Kingdom. I reckon they
Probably,
just put
yeah.
us like Australians. They're pretty much Brits,
pretty
right?
much British. Yeah.
They're pretty much Brits. They're just Brits with more alcohol.
All right, I'm going to cut that there.
Right,
we
fine.
probably have more to say. Kane Dogs, do you
I
have
could
an
talk-
idea
No.
about how to? Should I stop asking you?
No, look, you can keep asking me, but for Robin, I literally, like, I saw this film, went to bed, woke up, and came here.
Okay, fair.
So
Broadman,
no.
do you have an idea?
I think we should have a bit of a montage of Jordan learning how to use a bow because obviously he can't.
Okay,
Right, I mean, I've got.
I'll
two
do the
bows at home.
music.
All right.
Batman.
Robin Hood. That's how it's come up.
Well, Jordan, you're a professional now. You're a master at your art. Good job.
Shoot this apple off my head.
Did he get the apple?
Did he get the apple?
Yes.
We'll never-
Find out next week on Film Slice. Thank you for listening. Here's a round of kisses in our thanks. Film Slice
Feels
Pod.
like fun.